music officially. Just let me know in the chat if you can hear me and all that stuff. Goddamn. Let's see. So we all good, everybody nice and safe on this lovely Saturday. All right, I'm glad to hear. Let's see. What was I about to do, actually? Matter of fact, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep the music playing a little bit in the background, just to give a little something, a little oomph. So that way we can, something to help ease out that, some of the silence in the background. Loud or is that good? Just let me know and I'll adjust it as I go along. But welcome to a alternative factuals live stream. I don't do too many of these too often. I usually do them for like very key moments in like either a TV show or I don't know if I feel like something's important enough to report. But I'm actually using this as a way to kind of get to know you guys, see what you're into, see what characters you want to see more of. If you want to see like more video series of specific characters and all that stuff, which is very possible. Yeah. So as you can see on the screen, I have Black Panther starting out. There's something I actually wanted to talk about, something I was kind of thinking back and forth, and I want you guys' opinion about it, as well as input about other characters that I will be going over, discussing, and all that stuff. But if you're watching this, if you're not subscribed to the channel already, please do so. There's going to be plenty more content coming out. Next week I have I got some heat for you. And it's already been scheduled for next week on Tuesday. It's already been uploaded, scheduled, and everything, so you don't have to worry about waiting later in the week. It's going to happen, I believe, at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you should be excited for that. That's a good video, and yeah. Y'all over here talking about water, and I'm getting thirsty now for no reason. I'm trying to get some of that water right now. Just to be clear, if you have any questions, be sure to put it in the chat during the live stream. And obviously, super chats will be given priority when it comes to answering questions and stuff like that, simply because someone's paying me and then I have to provide a service. I will try to answer as many questions as I can. And like I said, but if you want the question to be answered immediately, remember to give it to like super chats so that way I can see it first and I will absolutely answer it immediately. I will stop what I'm doing and I will answer it. Just let me know. Well, obviously it'll let me know, but I'm just, moving forward. Just wanted to lay down the ground rules so people understand what's going on. But anyways, we have Black Panther here. Now, one of the things I wanted to discuss, the difference between the mutants when it comes to, the Xmen as a whole and Black Panther, and why Wakanda was so successful for most of its, since Wakanda's birth, was because even though Wakanda was based off of the vibranium element in terms of its, economy, its army, its military, all that stuff, for the most part, they kept their society a secret, which allowed them to thrive and get so technologically advanced, and which allowed them to get so powerful. Now, I was talking to somebody about this in the comments on one of the other will never have that kind of, I guess, they won't have the opportunity to get that powerful. One, because they're so worried about what the other people in the world think about them. Like they're trying to some degree, be diplomatic, involve other people, and try not to cause issues with other people. And I get it. It's more or less just the time in which they chose to kind of be independent in Krakoa. But I just personally think they'll never be able to thrive as well as Wakanda, just due to the nature of how they're operating and the way that they're doing things. But that's just something I wanted to, kind of get off my mind, because I wanted to know what you guys thought about that. Because we already know Wakanda is extremely powerful, extremely wealthy, one of the most wealthiest people, if not the most wealthiest people in Marvel Comics when it comes to Wakanda as a general in their economy. But it's something I wanted to, kind of start off with and see what you guys think about that. But okay. So the last few videos I've been covering, obviously, black characters, their abilities, and how more characters are way more powerful than people give them credit for. And there's one character in particular that I realized from the poll that not a lot of people know about, unfortunately, and I do believe he deserves the okay, the volume is too loud. Let me lower this. Let me see here. Let me know if the music is good enough. Yeah, it's funny because I don't know, the music on my headphones don't sound that bad, but I guess the transcoding is a little different, so of course it'll sound different. Okay, there we go. I think that should be good. It's not really as audible. Let me turn myself up. Okay, so back to what I was saying. I wanted to talk about a character. I wanted to talk about a character that, based on the poll, a lot of people did not really have any idea who they were. And that's not really anyone's fault, because this is a character that was not explored in Marvel Comics, unfortunately. So I kind of want to take this time to go through it. Like I said, this is a Wikipedia page. Obviously, they go into detail for the most part about a lot of the serious moments regarding this character. However, it's not every waking detail. And this character I wanted to talk about is Sync. Well, Everett Thomas. So I'm not going to pretend like you guys can't read. I'm just going to go over very specific parts and kind of expand on them, because this is a character I feel like you should know about when it comes to X-Men characters, because in general X-Men are some of everyone's favorite characters. You have Wolverine, you have Sabretooth, you have Charles Xavier, even though he was problematic in multiple ways. There's a few characters I know in general, like Storm, who everyone loves, who everyone goes to when it comes to their favorite black characters, favorite X-Men characters. I know there's Bishop, there's all these characters you have, and I know it's everyone's favorite. But Sync, I believe, should be on everyone's list at one point or another, just due to the nature of his abilities. Now, Everett Thomas, he was born in St. Louis, Missouri. According to Wikipedia, like I said, don't take this as absolute fact, because sometimes Wikipedia can be wrong. But according to this, I have to do a little bit more research, because I personally don't read. I haven't read too much of the X-Men comics. I've read the more recent ones, and the last time I read the X-Men comics were definitely maybe like about 5 years ago. So I have to refresh myself. But he was first introduced in X-Men number 36, and basically known as like this character who is extremely powerful. And let me answer this question by Xavier Bryant. Speaking of the X-Men, do you think when the X-Men join the Marvel Universe, Storm and Black Panther will become a couple? I think that's definitely going to be something that's going to be touched upon, because remember, Storm is very much native from Africa. So if they aren't in a relationship, or if they don't get into a relationship, I think they're going to be introduced as two people who are not strangers to each other. A lot of people speculated that Black Widow and the Winter Soldier already knew each other because of a certain phrase that she had said to Bucky. when they were fighting during Civil War, when his brainwashing kind of got kicked in by Baron Zemo. But I think they should introduce them very similar to that, where basically they were already they knew each other. They crossed paths already because Black Panther's in Africa, and so was Storm. She was native and born in Africa, and I'm pretty sure at some point they probably crossed each other's path. Maybe they dated for a bit, or maybe they just had this kind of on and off again thing. We never know. But I definitely do think they should be introduced as two people who've known each other, much like the Black Widow and Winter Soldier situation. But yes, Sync. So Sync, I believe, is a character where, if you've seen throughout his publication history, he hasn't been, popping up as frequently compared to, like even Sabretooth or even Wolverine, for example, even Charles Xavier. However, one thing that makes him very interesting is that Sync has the ability to not only tap into other people's powers, but allows him to tap into the energetic aura of others and duplicate their powers. And it's not limited to basically it's not limited to just mutants. He can do it to pretty much anybody. Like that includes people like Blue Marvel. That includes people like even the enhanced features of the heart-shaped herb that gives Black Panthers his ability. It includes characters even as powerful as Franklin Richards. But the reason why they keep writing him out, the reason why they keep putting characters like this on hold, is because one common theme keeps happening with a lot of these Black characters, and that's mostly because they're Black. One. Two, one of the reasons they don't include mutants like this is because, or people with powers, on such a scale, is because they're so powerful. But one thing I'm starting to realize is they're starting to make more and more Black characters too powerful, kind of giving them an excuse to kind of write them out of stories, just like Blue Marvel, where you don't see him in too many stories because, like I said, that World War Hulk event, he definitely could have ended that in 5 minutes. Monica Rambeau does not get written into too many stories either, because she could have ended so many stories in 5 minutes. She's just so powerful to the point it's just like, why write them in anything? So they're always in the back burner. They're never really used, and then they don't really use writers who know how to write Black people in general, especially powerful Black people. But that's just me kind of like spitballing in my opinion about it and how I see patterns. Now, people like Blue Marvel, who were so powerful, they had to throw them onto the Ultimates, where basically they had to fight cosmic related beings and cosmic powers, because their abilities just kind of seem to work with those situations, because you're dealing with beings who are far more powerful than them. So that's the only way to kind of make them seem less than, or make them seem within a certain range of power, just by comparison. Sorry, just got distracted momentarily. But okay. But yeah, Sync should always be on someone's list. Now, I guess I just wanted to start off with these two for the most part, kind of get you guys, I guess a little bit more familiar with Sync. I want you to do more research, look into the comics more, look into his interactions with the Xmen, kind of give me your opinion about it. And obviously you can come back to it and just let me know how you feel about it. But this is just something I think a lot of more people should be paying attention to. But now I'm going to go into this segment where everyone in the chat, all of you, I want you to drop your characters, your favorite Black characters, X-Men, whoever they may be, and I want to see like their abilities, and I want you to know, I'm going to basically inform you how you're going to be like able to measure it up against other characters in the Marvel universe or in the DC universe, whatever like that, who have similar power sets. And I'll just let you know like how I feel about the characters personally, because there's some characters actually that, they're Black characters, they might be even powerful, but me personally, I may not like them for whatever specific reasons. And this is also just a general way for me to get to know you guys. I want to hear your opinions. I want to hear like your point of views about everything. So let's try and do this in an orderly fashion. And yeah, because some of these actually will end up in future videos if I feel like, you have very interesting points of views, very interesting concepts, and we'll move forward from there. So Nasir, Black Lightning and Static. I did a video about Black Lightning and Static Shock comparing their powers. Some people, the video wasn't bad. A lot of people actually were very open to the video. There's one misconception I kind of want to talk about when it comes to Black Lightning and Static Shock. Now, even though their powers are extremely similar, I mean, like they're borderline identical. There is a difference in their ability, at least when Static was first initially introduced. So, I think I think actually I would recommend you check out that video and then let me know what you think about it. But to kind of answer your question, or kind of give you a more solid answer, as of right now, Black Lightning is still deemed more powerful. Not even just due to Virgil's age. It's just due to the nature of his powers and the limitations that he currently has. I believe he had infinite potential at one point, but it was retconned later on. In the New 52, if I remember correctly. And then as of Rebirth, I don't think we've seen him, and we were supposed to see him, but like I mentioned in a couple videos ago, Dwayne McDuffie's wife actually brought DC Comics to court regarding the Dakotaverse. So as of right now, we're not totally sure what's going to be the outcome of the characters like Static, and hopefully we'll get to see him in Rebirth going forward. But that's just something I think we need to do more research into as time goes along regarding that whole case. But as of right now, Black Lightning is still deemed more powerful, still deemed as having infinite potential, and he is still a powerhouse in DC Comics. Let's see. I mean, yeah, Storm would be in her 20s, but also, I don't know, like I said, it's very hard to figure out what Kevin Feige is going to do in the MCU when it comes to these characters. He might introduce Storm young. He might introduce Storm, approximately about T'Challa's age. Because even though Chadwick Boseman himself may be like in his early 40s, like I think he's like 41, 42, I don't think he's playing a character that's, in his 40s. T'Challa might be in his maybe like 34, 35 in the MCU. That's just me kind of spitballing. But yeah, so I think they might introduce Storm approximately around his age. It's not going to be like she's going to be like 18, 20, but at the very least she might be in her mid to late 20s. So I still see a relationship kind of forming there, but it's very much possible they still could have crossed paths. So like I said, that's more or less just what they decide to do, Kevin Feige. But I'm pretty sure if they introduce the X-Men, they're not going to completely start them from scratch, because it would just take up too much time. We've had X-Men movies since 2000. Even though some of them were hit or miss, I'm pretty sure they're not going to waste time going over origins, going over age, and it's too much for the MCU to try and conquer in such a short amount of time. And everyone knows who the X-Men are for the most part, and if you don't, you leave the internet available, obviously, to kind of answer questions about certain characters, because you can't go into detail about it. See, when it comes to Black Lightning, his power, because the way they describe Static's power is mostly just, like they say he's technically like a generator, electromagnetic generator. When it comes to what his powers, let me pull it up. Actually, like I said, it's one specific line. I said Static Shocks. Why do I always do this? Virgil Hawkins. It's a very specific line I think they made that it's like a technicality. Let me see. Explosion that unusual powers, electromagnetic energy, which you can learn to manipulate, control, and enhance. Electrokinesis. Let me see. And then pull up Black Lightning. It's like a technicality that in reality, I'm just gonna put it as simple as this. Me personally, I identify their powers pretty much as the same. They function the same. They do pretty much the same things when it comes to what they're capable of. Let me see. Okay, so they're just introducing all the year one outside of Secretary of Education powers and abilities. There we go. Generate force, probably reduce the gene quarter. Okay, that's not what I asked for. I'm looking for the specific one that I saw. No, that's not what I'm looking for either. But I think I use that because her powers are identical either. Just to use this one. Like her father, Lightning possesses the power of electricity manipulation. She is able to generate electrical energy and project it as concentrated bolts from her hands. Lightning is also able to fly by generating localized electromagnetic repulsion field. When manifesting her powers, Jennifer's body is surrounded by a glowing electrical aura with lightning-like spikes in her head and back. The effect is involuntary, though she has demonstrated the ability to revert more human appearance. She is also able to absorb electromagnetic energy in the Earth's atmosphere. She tends to be the strongest metahuman in the city she lives in, known as Freeland. Let's see. And then now abilities that he has when it comes to his electrokinesis, electromagnetic levitation, superconductive electromagnetism. Static can sense sources of electromagnetic energy or sources that can be affected by such underground water pipes. But he can magnetize and demagnetize metal. See, it's a way to describe his powers. They're like a lot more closer to like, not like a magnet is exactly, but like they kind of describe it as such. And my voice is starting to cut out for some reason. Hold on, give me a second. There we go. Gotta get some water in my system. Jesus Christ. Well, they kind of describe his power as more like a magnet, rather than like actual electricity. It's like a byproduct of his ability, where like he natively does not give off electricity, but it's a byproduct of like being able to absorb or manipulate electricity around him. Compared to Black Lightning himself being a generator, his cells are electrically charged. But in reality, like I said, they did retcon this eventually, so he was able to actually full-blown generate electricity at one point, and then they actually allowed him to have an energy form. Then they retconned that going into the New 52. They completely nerfed Static. Even Black Lightning got nerfed in New 52. Then in DC Rebirth, as of right now, like I said, we still have not seen Static Shock, but Black Lightning is very much still there, and the Outsiders. But think of it like this: if you're thinking about the original version of Static, they describe his powers as more of a magnet that has a byproduct of being able to manipulate electricity, while Black Lightning can just natively generate electricity. There we go. Very simple way of saying it. So that was very annoying to, kind of just, I had to kind of put these pieces together myself. So, I mean, I get and I understand the confusion. But, okay. I literally put in Storm. Alrighty then. Marvel Comics Storm. Now, this is another character I saw was everyone's favorite. And I get why. Storm has a lot more history than a lot of black characters that were introduced probably in the 90s to early 2000s. So I can't blame people for having interest in Storm. But now this may be problematic. Some of you may call it blasphemy. But in general, I personally am not too crazy about Storm. Has nothing to do about her character. It's not like I don't like her. But I think because people know, it's everyone's favorite character when it comes to Xmen and all that stuff, I think they overuse her so much sometimes. And don't get me wrong, they have periods of time in which they don't use her. And obviously there are times I feel like they should use her in stories. But I think when they want to introduce a black X-Men character, if they want to introduce someone of color to kind of put a little color on the screen, Storm would be like their go-to in a sense. Where it's just like, we feel like we're missing the token black person. Let's put Storm. And that's kind of how they've been using her. And like I said, not necessarily so much, but just they're using her in that specific way. And I don't like that. Has nothing to do with her character itself. It's just I don't think people are using her properly. They're not utilizing her correctly. And she's always playing second fiddle to somebody else. She was playing second fiddle to Cyclops for a hot minute. Even to the new version, well, not to say new version, but the X-Men having their own island. I feel like she never has had a moment to truly shine, and I don't appreciate that at all. And that's why I'm not too crazy about her character right now, because they only use her when they need her kind of to help relieve the plot of some issues. But besides that, they're not using her the way that I would like them to use her. She's far more powerful, she's far more intelligent, and she has far more lore behind her character than they even dive into. For example, when I made the video about the all black mystic team, a lot of people did not know that Storm has mystical backgrounds. The reason her hair is white, or one of the reasons why her hair is white, is not simply due to her X gene. It's also because her family derives from, mystical beings, Orishas, and, people who had supernatural abilities. And this is according to Marvel Comics, of course. I'm not saying, this is my opinion. This is actually something you can look into. But she's a lot more powerful outside of her X gene. She has a lot more potential outside of her X gene. And it's very much possible for someone to be a mutant and still have a mutant ability and then still be able to tap into mystical forces. So that's what makes this really, really fun. And I think they should explore certain aspects about her character like that, even if they had a 12-issue run, for example, and then they go into the past of Storm or Aurora, and then they started to dive into her family, kind of why they thought she was this supernatural goddess who can control the weather, why they worshipped her, the potential of her power, and the fact that going forward they can actually just start to explore that a little bit more, where the more she taps into her power or her emotions, maybe that somehow she taps into that magic that's in her blood, it's her lineage. They, kind of took that away from her as time went along and solely focused on her X gene and solely focused on putting her in the Xmen category. And they need to explore that more. There's just so much behind there, and I think there's some good storytelling. And I hope that one day Marvel sees this video or sees this live stream and they just think hey, maybe we should dive into that. It doesn't have to be a full-blown, a full-blown series. It literally can just be 12 issues. Something simple as 12 issues can make such a big difference. But yes, I actually, like I said, I don't like Storm the way they use her. I like her as a person. I like her character, even though sometimes her character can kind of go back and forth depending on how the story's written. But it's just interesting. Let me see. We got through Storm. Let me go through this poll. Darwin. This is another character I wanted to talk to you guys about, because now Darwin is not one of the, don't get me wrong, he's extremely powerful, and is also a very common misconception. Some people mentioned in the comics, so it wasn't too much of a big deal, but I wanted to ultimately kind of just touch upon it. So basically, Armando Munez. Now, some people, wanted to say in the comments, say, yes, he's Hispanic or he's Latin. And they wanted to say, oh, he's not a person of color. He's not black. I'm like, in reality, I said this in that video, and I will repeat it. A lot of Latin and people who are Hispanic who derive from Spanish-speaking countries, if you're not from Spain, ultimately, you do have black in you. You are black. Even on the census, there's only 3 categories of race. You have Caucasian, you have Asian, and then you have black. Anyone who's Latin or Hispanic, you fall under the black category. And not even just because of a classification due to other people. It's just genetically they have ties to Africa. During the transatlantic slave trade, a lot of those Africans were left off on the islands, where a lot of Dominican, Puerto Ricans, whatever the case may be, a lot of them come from. So they are black. They are people of color. They can definitely celebrate in these characters with us, because when it came to the 60s, they were sitting right in the back of the bus with us. So that's just something I want a lot of people to kind of understand and know. But Darwin is definitely a character who does not get enough screen time in general. They played him heavy when it came to Xmen. What was it, First Class? When was it First Class? I'm trying to think. Let me see. Let me check at the bottom here. Film, yeah, First Class. Okay. And it was when it was he was played by my guy here. I'm gonna butcher his name, Eddie Gathegi. But yeah, they played him hard body, son. Like literally, he got killed, and I'm like, that goes against the very function of his character. Darwin cannot be killed, but Darwin is extremely powerful. Now, over the course of time, the way his powers kind of function, for the most part, was the same. But when it came to him being able to have reactive evolution, he was able to kind of nudge his evolution in a specific direction. In some cases, either he would introduce his body to something very specific a little early or ahead of time to allow the evolution to kick in a little early, or in some cases he would allow his body to just, he have mind over matter kind of situation. But as you can see, and as I said, he has reactive evolution. His body is able to automatically change and basically evolve and adapt to any situation or environment that he is definitely, existing in or currently placed in, allowing him to pretty much deal and survive with anything. Now, the upper limits of this nature has technically not been revealed. However, there are just certain things that his body will not allow him to do. Like when he went toe-to-toe with the Incredible Hulk, when he came to Earth from the whole World Breaker situation, the Hulk definitely could not, well, the Hulk definitely could take him out, that's a fact. But Darwin's powers would not allow him to exceed that level of strength because his body was not physically capable of developing that, because the Hulk's strength is technically unlimited. So that's what made that very interesting. Let me change this song actually. I don't know what this is, but yes, so sometimes his powers won't allow him to develop another ability. Sometimes it just might teleport him away, but that's just the nature of his powers. But Darwin can be definitely one of the most highly intelligent people. If anything, Darwin can become the most intelligent person on the planet Earth, period. And already Darwin does have a genius level intellect. He is highly intelligent. He is extremely capable. He's a masterful hand-to-hand combatant. In a lot of ways, he can still become one of the most powerful mutants on the planet Earth. Obviously, like I said, his powers, from what we've seen, for some reason, when it comes to very specific things, it will not give him a new ability. It might just teleport him away if that option is available. But I feel like if his back is against the wall, his body still has no chance but to evolve him into a form or into having abilities that just will allow him to survive. But this is why I think, there's certain characters in general that are black that I just feel like they're not taking the time to explore a little bit more, because people feel like when you have powerful characters that you can't really tell a good story, and that's not true. Because like any other person, characters have a past. Like any other person, characters have family. Like any other person, powerful characters have people they care about. They have other things that's going on in their lives. Or even talk about that whole, Superman complex issue where it's like, imagine being so powerful, but you can never use, a certain fraction of your power just simply because you feel so trapped. The amount of damage you can do would just be astronomical. So I think they should discuss situations like that when it comes to powerful characters. And also situations, like Blue Marvel, where he has a son, a whole entire son, Kevin, who is far more powerful than himself, who cannot exist in this reality. Take the time to explore that a little bit more, get to know Kevin a little bit more, get to know his powers a little bit more. Or maybe Blue Marvel trying to figure out a way how to stabilize him in this reality or something like that. So there's a lot of ways you can talk about powerful characters like Darwin, and Marvel Comics just don't do it. DC Comics doesn't do it either. DC Comics actually doesn't have as many black characters compared to Marvel Comics, in my opinion. It's just, no matter what you do, there's always going to be an uphill battle. But let me see But ultimately, I did want to keep this stream a little bit on the 30-45 minute side. Just a little bit of time to get to know you guys. So I appreciate you guys for coming out. I always will put up polls and stuff like that to get to know what characters you want to see in the next video. I'll try to do this a little bit more often. Like I said, the rules for this stream is, super chats will get priority, obviously, if you decide to do so. But I will try my best to answer all messages in the chat. Let me know how you're feeling. Let me know what you're thinking. I want to know all that. Even if you're watching this video after this is already live stream, let me know how you're feeling. And if you're new to the channel, please be sure to like, share, and of course subscribe. Ooh, and leave your comments down below. And I hope to see you later on. Peace out, y'all.